So ICE agents need masks for their safety. Federal officers have been involved in arresting some of the most dangerous human beings known to man, from actual drug lords to international terrorists to gang leaders to mobsters. And they never had to obscure their faces. As a matter of fact, all you would see from federal agents, they will come out with those either blue or yellow windbreakers. They would uh, they would show the big pile of drugs they confiscated. They would show pictures of the people that they'd arrested, and they would show the cooperating agencies, and they would all introduce themselves. Their masks, their face were unobscured. We could see exactly who they were because they were proud of what they did. They kept these people off these dangerous people off the streets. They taking these drugs away, and we got to see them. We got to see what they had done. Now they didn't even need masks to arrest El Chapo, one of the most dangerous drug lords ever. They didn't need masks to arrest him. What the fuck do they need masks to arrest his gardener for? Why are they wearing masks to arrest housekeepers? Are maids really that devious? So,
Good morning and welcome to another edition of Let It Be Known. I am your host, Stacy Brown, and woo, always a lot going on.
So much going on. Peace and love, everyone. I'm Niele Anderson, and we have a lot of headlines to get through. I'm talking about the Philly trash strike. We have headlines from New York, Arizona, Georgia, and some travel news that you might appreciate to get us
Mm.
away from all of the drama happening here in America.
all the drama. Oh gosh, and DL Hughley is always on. He's been on point for a long time when it comes to all of this political stuff.
He wasn't on
And
point for a minute because
for a
remember he
minute,
apologized at the DNC for
yeah,
being
yeah,
misinformed, but
right.
now he is a freedom fighter for real.
Yeah, yeah, and he doesn't stop. And like you said, when he did something, as you just said, that many just don't do. They don't go. They don't. When they realize they're wrong, they don't come out and admit it. And not only did he come out and admit it, but he's seen. Listen, it's easy to see now, right?
Hmm.
But he's been talking about this all year long and throughout the November elections. But he is spot on in his commentary. I found him to be extremely spot on,
Yeah,
um, and that
yeah,
this is another example.
right, for sure. Yeah, he does, but sometimes he will post things that are AI generated that might not be factual. That's happened a few times. And so we just have to be very careful of the things that we post. I know there's a couple of stories that I had to pull because when I went back and fact checked them, they just weren't they
Hmm.
weren't there. And so we really have to be careful with all of this AI technology that is happening, especially like with the Black people. There are some AI generated Black people.
Oh
Um,
yes,
and then you're like, wait a minute, is this AI? And I think that's really scary because that's how you get misinformation out there. And then it's taking away jobs. Why don't you just pay an influencer to do the job? So
there you
you,
go.
the world is
Yep.
turning.
It's
It is
true, and I
turning.
hate to see news articles, and there are some in mainstream that will give you a mostly AI generated website or newspaper, and that is, whew, that's
It's
bad.
scary. I know there was this story going around and it had the Fox logo in it. And I was like, ooh, this is a good story. It's about a Black guy out of Mississippi. And they said that he had broke into one of the human services offices and gave everybody free food stamps. And they were calling him a Robin Hood, but it had the Fox logo. But the story is nowhere to be found,
Yeah,
you
exactly.
know?
Like I said, so much misinformation deliberately too. That's
Mhm.
going around.
But
So.
most of the time, getting back to DL Hughley, he gets it right. Okay, he gets it right 95% of 98% of the time.
Well, we gotta get to more on immigration and ICE in a moment, but first, the MAGA faithful are eating their own over the Epstein fiasco. Furious at the Justice Department under Trump's watch, is now denying the existence of any client list or incriminating evidence. For instance, Chad Prather, who stood in the White House being handed a binder. He was one of those influencers, MAGA influencers, that Pam Bondi gave a binder to about the Epstein files. Now he's demanding answers. Then there's Jack Posobiec, who says that the whole affair is, quote, incredible and it's mismanagement. And then there's Savannah Hernandez, another MAGA influencer, calling it a slap in the face. And of course, many know Robbie Starbuck, who is a true blue MAGA, is torching the official story, saying it's insulting, incredibly insulting, to expect Americans to believe Epstein trafficked underage girls to no one. So many of the MAGA folks are going in. They were hoping, Neil, they were hoping to see names like Bill Clinton and even Barack Obama, if possible, which we know that's not possible.
Yeah, he wasn't it. He wasn't
right.
talked
But
about.
that's what they were hoping. But guess what? All this points to one thing, really, and one thing only. How severe, how often was Donald Trump's name in those files?
Yeah, we know his name was in the files. His buddy Elon Musk, when he got pissed, he confirmed it. And Pam Bondi is doing his bidding, And, I'm just fascinated on how many white folks are pissed at this. And I haven't seen their black person give a damn. Give a
at all.
damn.
Not at all.
But
Not at
these
all.
white folks, I mean, this was one of the major headlines yesterday in all the news with everything going on in the country. White media was focused on how pissed white folks were that these files weren't dropped. I mean, they are calling for Pam Bondi's head, okay? The attorney general, they want her head. They had those binders and they were like, she gave us these binders and there were nothing in these binders and now she needs to be fired. But nobody is talking about Donald Trump telling her to do that.
Right.
The accountability for Trump is just not there.
That's because, again, look, we talked a little bit about this off air, how he CBS was the latest to give him all this money and give him this advertising money too. So it really comes out to like a $32 million deal, that a settlement that he made with CBS and Paramount. He got most of the mainstream media in his back pocket, like he has the Supreme Court in his back pocket. So let's be real, like he has the Congress in his back pocket. So that's why you're not hearing from mainstream media.
There is the picture. They thought that they were gonna. I mean, they were going. These three podcasters yesterday
flat out lied to people, saying that it's on her desk. Maybe she didn't lie. Let me rephrase that. She told people, oh, the files are on my desk. I got the files.
That was true. And the press secretary said, well, she didn't mean that, they were files. It was just paper. There was a lot of paper on her desk. That's what she said. Yes, there was a lot of paper on her desk. But it wasn't like a list, but it was just a lot of paper from the files. And these three right here yesterday, boy, oh boy. The top two stories, of course, was the tragedy that happened in Texas, and we're still praying for those people that they're still finding, looking for, and the 104 people that they found that have been dead. And then it was this story. That's all you saw yesterday. This and Texas. Yeah. And there's so much more going on in the United States that are impacting Black folks and communities of color. And they chose to focus, which rightfully so, Texas, and this story right here, and these three, how pissed they were that they didn't get, the meat they were looking for.
It's just the whole thing, Niele, what you're saying. Once again, folks have to understand that mainstream media does not have Black and brown folks' interests at all anywhere. It does not matter anymore. What matters to them is the MAGA chief himself, and that's it. That's it. He has them all. This is a Russian state media, Iranian state media. This is American state media. That's what mainstream is, folks. If you haven't turned to the Black press yet, you behind.
And I think another critical point that they made sure that was stated was that he didn't die from suicide.
Yeah, they showed this
They
put
made sure
together
that
frame by
that was up
frame
there.
piece, right, to show that nobody else was in his cell. But they, as they're telling you this, folks, you see the two prison guards walking him to his cell. You don't see them come out either.
And
I
as
didn't see
they're
them come out.
right, and as they're telling us it was suicide, they're telling us that there are no files. So, I mean, you can't believe none of it. I know
Nothing.
Orange G says hopefully Vegas opens up a betting line for the number of times that Trump name appears in the Epstein files.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. How about that?
Mm,
MV, to go along with that, says that they control the narrative in mainstream media.
yeah,
Exactly.
they do. They do.
Uh, that's the bottom line, folks. Um, Also, getting back to the immigration situation, Niele, while tens of thousands of brown uh, people and immigrant fans filled Dodger Stadium chanting for their heroes, a very interesting tidbit of information came out.
Hmm.
The billionaire owner in the luxury box at Dodger Stadium is quietly profiting off the same machinery, the stalking of these immigrants, the
Hmm.
jailing of them, and the deportation that is going on. Mark Walter isn't just the face of the Los Angeles Dodgers. He's also the man steering Guggenheim Partners' multi-million-dollar stake in the CEO Group, which is a private prison giant that's running ICE detention centers. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I certainly praised the Dodgers for turning ICE away at Dodger Stadium and working with Mayor Karen Bass to get
Hmm.
them off the property. But then you see the pure conflict here. Unbelievable.
Yeah, but I mean, anybody that has investments in privatized prisons should divest. But I also think it should be noted that he owns only 0.38% stake in GeoCore Civic. So he is just a shareholder. And that stake represents an investment of about 12 million. And we're talking about $1 billion company. So he does own stake in Geo, but it is minimal. It's 0.38%. And I think though that the divest anybody that is investing in private prisons, it's horrific. And I think even adding to the conversation, Stacy, is that how much Geo and Core Civic, the two largest privatized prisons in this nation, have invested in Donald Trump. They
Mhm.
have invested for years in his golf courses, in his campaigns, and they are telling their shareholders that we are about to get the bag. They're saying this on their shareholder calls. We are about to get the bag from the government.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it is horrific how all of these things when we look, and then Stephen Miller. So so Mark invested in Palantir, which is the tech and AI company that is profiting from privatized prisons. And not, Stephen Miller is invested in it too. And so all of these people in the White House are making money from locking up brown people. At this point it'll turn back to black because I mean, come on, it's gonna come back
Without
to
question.
us.
Without
It's gonna
question.
come back to
Always
us.
does.
But Stephen Miller is a huge investor as well, just like Mark
Mhm.
and Palantir, which is the technology company that is involved in all of these privatized prisons.
Yeah. Like you said, I think that there needs to be a call on these folks to divest.
Hmm.
If you are true about this, if Mark and the Dodgers are true about this, he would divest. And like it's a small amount, so it shouldn't hurt you that bad. It shouldn't hurt you
Right.
really much at all. I mean, you just bought the Lakers too.
Yeah, you
Eh,
about to, and it'd be interesting to see like what Magic Johnson, because like, I think for us as the black community, well, who are in these people's circles? Well, we know Magic Johnson is a stakeholder in the Dodgers as well as the Lakers.
Mhm.
This is when we need him to say something to his friend.
Yeah, speaking of Magic, he and I'm not slamming him, but it was a little bit tone deaf as Trump was signing that bill. Just so happens Magic is out there on his yacht, and it's being filmed or whatever, photographed and posted.
With
I
a
mean, maybe
drone.
he had. Yeah, with a drone, maybe he had nothing to do with that at all. It was his scheduled vacation time, maybe, or whatever. But it was just didn't feel right.
Really? I mean, that's an annual trip for the Johnsons. I mean, they've been
Okay.
doing that since Tina and Richard Lawson were married. Tina, I mean, they take that annual trip, and I think it's beautiful because what they do is they take their friends and they're like on a yacht for maybe a month and a half, 2 months, and they have different sets of friends. I mean, LL Cool J, Glenn Truman. They invite all of their friends and
Samuel
like,
Jackson.
yeah, one you stay this
Yeah.
week and then the next group comes. I mean, it's just timing. They do this every year. So
It could be that
I
somebody
look
did that
forward to that.
intentionally. Somebody,
No,
because
he
it could
did
be.
it. Magic
Oh, he did
did
the
it.
drone.
Yeah, he posted it on his page. Yeah, but they do that
See,
every
that's tone deaf.
year.
That's tone deaf. Tone deaf.
Nah,
Yeah,
I
tone deaf Magic. I
disagree.
love Magic, but that's tone deaf.
I disagree. That's what they do every year. It's nothing new. It's around his birthday and Cookie's birthday, and they take a yacht and they live their best life and they share it with us. And we
Chris,
get
I'm
our
mad because
wine and we watch.
Chris says I'm mad because I didn't get the invite.
Right. That's what I'm mad about. Shoot.
That's what you mad about?
But you have to have what I've noticed is you have to have a husband because Tina ain't been invited. Tina knows and Richard Lawson haven't been back since they broke up. So you
So
have
it's a
to be a
couples
couple.
thing.
It's a couples
Ain't
trip.
nothing wrong with that.
I don't see anything. I was just saying, Greer, we have to get a husband in order to get invited
I
to
don't
the
think
trip.
Greer getting a husband. Greer
Oh,
ain't getting a husband.
okay.
She said not.
Okay, well, a wife, whatever you
She ain't getting
get.
no. Oh my,
Shit, I don't know.
that's terrible. Why you call her out like that? She ain't getting no wife. She ain't getting no wife,
I
no
mean,
husband. She ain't getting nothing.
the world we live in now, I
She
mean,
said
it's
you would have to be
okay.
her plus one.
Hilarious. Okay, I'll be a plus one. We can work on the ship.
Well, you
Okay.
think Cookie gonna let y'all on without a man?
Oh
Cookie
no,
ain't
we
going for
can't get
that.
on. We can't get on.
Cookie ain't going for that. She ain't going for
But
that. No.
Dreer, you could do the
Listen,
drone.
listen, I'm chiming in. Even though after Georgia, I don't know if I would ever want Niele to be my plus one. I gotta sleep. I can't do it. I can't keep up with her. I can't keep up.
Oh
Oh,
yeah, I'm gonna hit the streets, okay? But somebody has to do the drone and somebody has to do the social post. So we still might, get a
Cookie's
job.
not letting y'all on without a man. She know what she doing.
Okay, that's
Oh,
fine.
She said, Irvin, we done been through this before.
Probably still going through it, just comfortable with it. Okay, let's move on because now
Let's
we've
move.
turned into TMZ.
Well, just real quick, and I'm gonna let you answer this question because I know you can answer this and knock it out the park with very, very easily. MB asks, why would anyone invest in private prisons anyway?
Money, profit. It's for profit. It's for profit.
Well, MB might also be thinking along the lines of how horrific they are, and we talked about Mark Walter. This guy is a multi-billionaire. He don't need the aggravation in the little $12 million or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm. You would think not, but people like the wealthy people, the rich people, they want all the money.
We want all the money.
They want to be in the they want to be the billionaire. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
They want to be in those numbers. I'm not
Yeah.
mad at it. But privatized prisons at this point in this country are a no-no.
Yeah,
They're just
yeah.
not.
And by the way, Orangey is offering a solution for you and Greer, by the way, to go on Magic's boat. He said y'all can rent a husband. He says P. Diddy is available. Listen, Orangey said it, not me. And Orangey, you can see the look she's giving you. So you got to take the hit for that one.
P. Diddy.
Listen, I'm sure there are millions of other
Look,
husbands.
I'm thinking about how I could spend it, Orangey, because I'm not that mad at Diddy.
Oh. Okay.
But I'm not saying that I want to be a Cassie or a Daphne either.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But
Listen,
young
Here we go.
Miami did get the
Here,
young Miami got the bag.
here we go.
listen. Remember the Tyler Perry movie where the wife had him in the tub beating him, and that would be me. I have Diddy in there. Say,
Wait,
"Ooh,
yeah, she put
you
the
stink."
baby oil on the floor
Yes,
and
I
stuff,
would be
right?
beating him every day.
Yeah, she showed that she put the
But she
oil on the
also
floor.
still took care of him, and she got him back on his feet. So
Oh
hey,
God.
Yeah,
Look,
that impressed.
she
you
said,
know she
look,
did.
listen, Neil, Orange said, take that, take that, take that.
You know, I'm trying to figure out how I could spin it.
Forget about it. Listen, let's move on. Even that's a mess. Even as
You
more
asked
black.
for it.
Well, listen. Oh, so he says, MB says, as he joins in, he says they have rent a partners in Japan. Now, wait a minute now. That's flying out. That's being flying out. That's being flown out.
Mm.
Y'all really going up the Diddy pole today, boy. Let me tell
Right,
you what I'm saying.
right. Look, telling
Flying
us
people
how
out.
we really out here living.
I know. Oh my gosh. Anyway, folks, even as more Black Americans break into higher income brackets, the walls keeping them from building lasting financial security remain intact. The latest retirement confidence survey shows a staggering gap. Only a third of Black households earning $75,000 or more have saved at least $250,000 for retirement, compared to nearly 2/3 of their non-Black counterparts. And of course, debt is a constant weight. Health setbacks are more likely to derail plans, and trusted financial guidance is still out of reach for too many African Americans. So the numbers make it plain. Climbing the income ladder doesn't guarantee a fair shot at retiring with dignity or passing wealth to the next generation. So, Nia, how can we talk about prosperity if even middle and upper income Black Americans are systemically locked out of the tools and resources that turn earnings into wealth?
And that's what makes what Trump is doing and his clan is doing that is so heartbreaking, because we're talking about 60 years of civil rights, 60 years of moving this country forward to where it could hopefully be equitable for Black Americans. And now that Trump and his clan are in office, 60 years of work just ripped away. And
Mhm.
so what we're talking about is going backwards at a rapid pace. All of the strides, like people that are in their homes now, that 45% of African Americans, will they be able to maintain what they have because of all of the cuts and uncertainty on economic growth and income in this country? Whether you're a small Black business owner, whether you work for a company. What if you work for the federal government and your job is
Mhm.
gone? You can't maintain your home. And I think a lot of us are considering, like, what's the point of being a homeowner when really you're just still in debt to the mortgage company? And if you can't pay to get your pipes fixed, if you can't pay, if you need roofing or just maintenance of the house, what is the point?
Right.
There's so many factors to consider. And so under this Trump clan administration, that number probably is going to increase for Blacks as well as white folks, and they just don't know it.
Yeah, and speaking of which, the State of Black America 2025, the National Urban League's annual report is going to be released on July 17th. They're going to give us the yearly where we at right now and our spending power, et cetera, et cetera. They will have a big rollout of this. Damon Hewitt, the president and executive director of Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law, Christian Clark, the former assistant attorney general for civil rights, will join Latasha Brown, Rep. Stephen Horsford, Hakeem Jeffries, and others as they unveil this report week after next, I guess.
Right.
July 17th. It'll be released. It's under embargo until 6 a.m. July 17th, but they will have a press briefing, a media briefing with all of those individuals. So the state of Black America, including what we spend, will be released again.
Yeah, we definitely have to get on Mark Moriel's calendar. We were able to interview him at the Black Press Conference in Savannah a week before last. And so he did say that he would come on anytime. The invitation was extended. So we probably need to reach out to Teresa this week to get on his calendar, have him come
That
and break it down for us.
that is true, and that Greer's pointing out that news conference with all of those folks will be on YouTube as well, so you can check that out. And David Youngblood says that he's convinced that the firing of the Black women in federal jobs in D.C. is to get those homes in Prince George's County, Maryland. That's Prince George's County is where the most Black millionaires live, according to multiple reports. So,
All right. Well,
so
let's
there
jump.
you have it.
There we have it. And we have more headlines. Let's start in Philadelphia, where Black leadership in Philadelphia is literally stinking up the city. Now, Philadelphia's largest municipal workers union, the AFS-CME District Council 33, and the city's mayor have hit day 8, talking about today, of a strike. This is something they should be talking about in mainstream media. Now, the trash piles in Philly are high, and neighbors are complaining about a strong stench in the air. Now, the city has established 63 temporary drop-off locations for residents to dispose of their trash, but it hasn't prevented the trash from building up across the city. Now, negotiations between union president Greg Bauweier and Mayor Cheryl Parker ended over the weekend without a deal. They're both African Americans, and District 33 represents multiple city departments, including but not limited to police dispatchers. I'm talking about 911 and sanitation workers. Now, DC 33 is fighting for higher wages, health care benefits for all. Now, in Philadelphia, it's important to know that African American individuals make up over 48% of the city's overall municipal workforce, and that's according to the 2020 census report. So lots of Black folks. You see it with all the videos. Most of the people on the picket line are African Americans. I didn't realize Philly was such a Black populated city, but this story right here is all about Black leadership and Black workers.
Well, yeah, and you find the majority of city councils Black. They've had their share of Black mayors, of course, and LL Cool J was scheduled to perform in Philly last weekend, and he dropped out because of the strike. He said he would not feel right crossing a picket line. So he said nope, he's not doing it, and he and a couple of others. So
it was Jasmine Sullivan.
Jasmine
Sullivan as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep. So he's showing his brotherly love to that city.
Right. Hopefully the mayor and the president of the union can work it out. But everybody deserves decent and fair wages and health care. And that's why our unions are so important. And that's why the Donald Trump Klan administration wants to get rid of them, because they represent the working class and they demand the rights to serve. So hopefully Mayor Parker and the president of this union can work it out, because the city is stinking. And I don't know if Greer showed the piles of trash, but the trash is so high. And I think one of our people in the chat talked about how they were in Philadelphia, and you could just, the stench, the trash is so high on blocks. And you know what comes with trash? Look at that. You know what comes with trash? Rats, bugs, all types of stuff.
Good night.
So, yeah. Let's head to Arizona, where the Republican National Committee in Arizona is suing Arizona, claiming the state's law allowing some overseas U.S. citizens to vote is unconstitutional. Now, the lawsuits targets adult children of Arizona voters living abroad, including military families and diplomats, arguing they haven't established legal residency in the state.
You know what? It- it- this is so tiring because this is this is part of why we're here right where we at. They continue to create problems where there's no problems. They continue to claim something that's just not has not happened. There's not been any voter fraud or anything like that. And no, people who are illegal immigrants have not and are not voting. So it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And it's also something that we should be paying attention to because I always use the critical race theory push as the litmus test. And
Hmm.
as we look at what's happening in different states, this is happening here. When we look at what's happening in Miami and the mayor saying, well, we're just not going to have an election this November. We're just going to push it to next year. I'm going to give myself another year because I'm really turned out and I'm not ready to leave my job. So we're going to push it to next year. When we look at all of these things happening and Republicans are being allowed to do it, it does make you think that what they're saying about in 2026 that there will be no election, that all of these different pockets of Republican Party pushing these issues in the courts and in their communities, it's a very viable thing.
Yeah, you see what Orange G says. He says when he served, he says we were highly encouraged to vote in all elections. Each unit had a voting liaison, and he never missed a vote. And I just saw someone else say about Dr. Joni about just more voter suppression. So
Yeah, and it's like, where's the Democratic Party? Because the Republicans, look how they're moving. They're cohesive. They have different, okay, I'm gonna take the election over here. I'm gonna push the voting fraud conversation over here. Where is the Democratic Party to highlight these things and to raise a yellow and a red flag as to their party, their constituents paying attention and how to resist this type of movement that the Republican Party is making? Where they at?
they 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 they
Where they
they
at? Where
they're
they at?
not raising
Yeah.
a yellow or a red flag, as you say. What they have done a while ago, it appears, is wave the white flag. They've given
Hmm.
up.
Or they're fighting about stupid stuff. Like like they're fighting about stupid stuff. Like, I think we should head to New York right now instead of Georgia because it's relevant. So in New York, Mayor Eric Adams is demanding Columbia University release Mendami's
This is
admissions
just
records
absolutely
in which he ID'd himself as Asian and African American. Adams says it's deeply offensive. Now,
mm,
meanwhile, former New
mm.
York Governor David Patterson is calling on Democrats to unite and defeat Zoran. But Vice Chair of the DNC, Malcolm Kenyatta, has responded on X, posting, this guy is a lobbyist who does not speak for Democrats. We are supporting nominee Zoran Mandami.
First of all, Adams, of course, has absolutely no bottom. So whatever. But the New York Times did such a disgraceful piece on Zoran the other day, and it was so disgraceful that their one of their ethics editors had to come out and defend it on social media. It was defending the indefensible. It was another. What this was a Barack Obama birther moment that
Mm,
Donald Trump. It was just so asinine that you focused on the fact that what he said and what he checked in those boxes when he didn't even get accepted to the school, first of all, but he
mhm.
checked two things in the boxes because he wanted to apparently, according to him too, he just wanted to get it right. That he's of multiple ethnicities,
Right,
and he was checking the boxes that fit him.
right.
And you're making a deal out of this. And Eric Adams, I know he's your opponent, but listen, don't go there. Don't go there because you know he's one time. Adams is one time pissing Trump off from being deported himself. So let's
Well,
get real about it. I mean,
why
come
do you
on.
think? Why do you think though? Certain high-ranking Democrats, whether they are in office or not, why do you think that they are going against the grain? I mean, Mendami might lean more socialist progressive, but he's still running as a Democrat.
Mhm.
Why do you think Democrats always try to just put the party in one box? Like you
'Cause
can't be too progressive, you can't be too socialist. You need to
right.
be moderate.
Because the old guard won't let go. The old guard is getting money from certain folks that, and they don't want it to be upset. They don't want their pockets to suffer. And that's really the bottom line. You can't tell me anything else.
Right, right, right. So, I mean, this New York race is definitely one to pay attention to and one to watch because Mendami represents a younger group of voters. They're coming out of the AOC camp, Jamal Bowman, the squad type theology. And so it'll be interesting to see if he gets in office because if he does, it's going to be a new look for politics in
Mhm.
this country.
Well, and
Um,
then, yeah, let's face it too, Niel. Too, this guy is Muslim, right? And you have that whole situation, Israel. This is why another reason why these Democrats are going losing their minds with Zoran because
mhm.
they don't know what to do with themselves with the Israel Palestine situation.
Mhm.
They don't know what to do with themselves.
Yeah.
They don't know
Well,
where to stand.
well, they don't want to call a spade a spade. They know what to do. They just don't want to do it. You could look at the news and see, I mean, Netanyahu, one thing that you could see all of these foreign leaders know how to do is stroke Donald Trump's ego. You had the
Mhm.
Germany bringing him his grandfather's birth certificate, grandfather born in Germany, had him bringing birth certificate yesterday. Then you had Netanyahu passing him a recommendation for a Nobel Peace Prize across the table. So they all know how to stroke this man's ego to stay in favor of him. And that it's a problem.
What's the problem?
It's a problem. Let's head to Georgia, where a Confederate group is suing Georgia Stone Mountain Memorial, which is located at Stone Mountain Park. Now, the park located outside of Atlanta has the world's largest Confederate monument, and it's a mural carved into rock depicting Confederacy President Jefferson Adams and Generals Robert E. Lee and Thomas J. Stonewall Jackson. Now, the lawsuit filed by the Sons of Confederate Veterans singles out a planned truth telling museum at the park that they were going to add. Now, back in 2023, the Georgia General Assembly allocated 11 million to renovate the park, but they wanted to add this tell truth telling museum to the park, and the park would detail its connections to the Ku Klux Klan and its resistance to the civil rights movement. Now, the Confederate lawsuit states that the exhibit is completely contrary to the purposes of the Georgia law and the Stone Mountain Memorial Park. So they just want to keep it KKK. They want to keep it KKK. They don't want you talk about the bad of what the KKK did, and they don't want to talk about civil rights movement. They just want to keep it Klan.
Yeah.
I mean, all these things are happening, and mainstream media is just talking about Texas and Epstein and podcasters, and all of these things are important to not just what the white experience, but the American experience.
So, no, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, the Americans' experience is not limited to what white folks think and feel.
So I want to jump in with a news item before you finish off your news items because this just came. Maybe
Mhm.
you saw this, but Stephanie Mills just posted this like 8 minutes ago. She posted an open letter to the Essence Festival. She was very, very disappointed in a lot of things. She says the challenges she encountered were multifaceted, and in her view, indicative of broader organizational shortcomings. She talked about scheduling and time management, but she says beyond the logistical issues and the technical difficulties specifically concerning the sound system, she said they were very unprofessional. She said that she experienced so many unprofessional folks over there. The level of professionalism, she says, I quote, I witnessed fell far short of the standards I expect um, from such a highly regarded festival. And she's calling on a comprehensive review of organizational structure and operational management there at the Essence Festival. So there's I just wanted to throw that in there, and I didn't want to interrupt your flow, but she posted this 30 minutes ago on her
Mhm.
X account, and I just thought that was very interesting to see that.
Yeah, I mean, Essence has two conversations going on. They have those who are unhappy with it, and those that are like, they had a good time. So for every
Hmm.
one of those negatives, there's somebody else posting a positive, and saying how we shouldn't, tear Essence down. And I do know that Stephanie Mills is very high maintenance. I just
Stephanie's high maintenance. You think
oh,
so?
very much
She
so.
wasn't when she
Yeah,
wasn't
very
for
much so.
us when she did the Black Presses conference in New Orleans. I
I
mean
was
she
there.
was
Yeah,
you
no,
was
no, I'm
there.
talking about, but that was something different. I'm talking about with
Mhm.
her actual tour dates. I just seen her
Mhm.
here in LA, and
Right.
she complained on the stage the entire time about the air conditioning.
Wow.
But the funny thing about it is she was complaining about the air, and I think it was either Patty or Shaka Khan that was saying to turn the air down, and she was
Mm.
saying it's too high,
Don't
and she had a
don't
lot. She
tell
was
me.
complaining. She was complaining about several things about her time. She was complaining about her time
Wow.
at the tour. I mean, she was telling us her grievances on stage.
Right.
So
Right.
I've heard that before from her. So I
Oh
mean,
man.
and I
We
mean, I'm
we
a participant.
Yeah, we had her a few years back, and I mean, she even came on the show, and then she did then she did a concert for us at the
I was there. Hmm.
NMPA's conference, and she spent an hour or so afterwards taking pictures with everyone and talking with everyone.
But
So
that
I
wasn't a
mean,
tour stop. That
that wasn't a
wasn't
tour stop,
that
right?
wasn't a tour
I'm
stop.
only saying that to say that, gosh, I'm kind of surprised to hear that, especially and not only because of that, but we kind of helped bring Stephanie back to the limelight. And when it was happening, she and her manager, Amp Harris, was saying exactly that. The lack of respect she had gotten from the industry, et cetera, et cetera.
Mhm.
So that's why I'm kind of surprised to hear that. But I mean, I'm not doubting what you're saying because
No, I mean,
obviously,
she said it from the stage. You
right.
can go
She
back and
said it
roll
from,
the tape.
yeah,
She was
yeah.
complaining about the air. She was complaining about her time, that she might not be
Mm,
able to do ours. So I mean, that letter sounds like what she was talking about when she was in LA.
wow.
And so, I
Okay.
mean, and it's
Steph
okay,
getting a reputation.
no, I mean, it's okay because she is a diva in every positive sense of the word.
Oh.
And she is entitled to have certain things met. So we know for a fact that the timing of artists and the lateness and them booking people at the last minute is a fact that actually happened at Essence Fest. So I'm not saying that her
Mm-hmm.
experience and what she said, but I mean, if you were to ask any other artist, they would say, yeah, their call time was off. So from a
Hmm.
production standpoint of Essence Fest for an artist, yeah, I can understand those concerns. I really can. But like I say, there are two conversations coming out of Essence right now. It is
Hmm.
positive and it is negative.
Well, I will say this about Stephanie Mills. She always had the best voice out there.
Oh my
No
gosh.
limit to that voice. Oh my
My
gosh.
favorite Stephanie Mills song is Two Hearts with her and Teddy Pendergrass.
I
Love,
think that's one of
love
her
that
favorites.
song.
She always talked about that. Stephanie says, man, she's like, he was like a brother. She's like, I wish I didn't look at him like that.
I love that song. I love Stephanie Mills. But
Oh
that letter,
gosh.
I've heard it on stage. I heard
Oh
her speaking
wow.
from on stage.
Oh shucks. So
Um,
I didn't need to jump in with her letter then.
no, that was good. No, that was good because you could go on social media right now and there are two conversations happening about essence. It is one
Yeah.
negative, and everybody has the right to be entitled to how they felt about their experience. And then there is another one that is like, hey, it wasn't as packed, but it was still packed. And I had a great time because it's not just about the concerts, it's about the feeling and the vibe of New Orleans. It's the
Yeah.
food, it's the culture. And so hopefully Essence can get it together. Because out of 30 years, they've never had this much back and forth out of 30 years. So they
Yeah.
should be able to have some grace and we'll see
Well,
what they do next year.
and Dr. Joni wants to make sure that folks know that the Lauryn Hill timing seemed like a festival timing problem rather than a Lauryn Hill problem, even though Lauryn Hill is the one getting dragged, she says.
Yeah, that wasn't her fault this time. It really
Yeah.
wasn't.
Yeah.
And so let's head to the airport,
Oh
for
gosh.
our final story today. Good news for travelers. TSA will now allow all passengers to keep their shoes on during airport security screenings. Now, the change went into effect yesterday, and the change is based upon technology advancement and a re-evaluation of potential threats. And so,
I'm trying to
I'm so excited
think of
about that
when
though.
you are.
I'm
Well,
excited.
I mean, I go to TSA pre-check, so I rarely have to take my shoes off. But um, I'm just not. I'm trying to figure out when I have to fly again, and I'm just not looking for. I didn't look forward to flying to Savannah,
Mhm.
because this is the Trump administration's FAA, and I just don't trust it. Can't trust it, and and I know I'm trying to think. I know something's coming up, but nonetheless, this whole shoes thing, the reason why they started that, of course, that was a part of the 9/11 situation,
Correct.
and the fear of shoe bombs and things of that nature. So are we, the question becomes, okay, why are we stopping that? Do we feel somehow more secure? How
No,
could
because
we?
no, because Mega said that it's stupid and told somebody was probably having a hamburger and a Coke with Trump and said, hey, I'm tired of taking off my shoes. You're right. Stephen,
Mhm.
Stephen Miller, fix it.
I
Fix
mean,
it.
no way that you can feel anyone could feel safer today um than they did 6 months ago. There's no way.
Right, right. And I'm pretty sure that that was not based upon any data or
Nope.
intelligence from the FBI or TSA. It was just somebody in the White House put something in Donald Trump's ear and you're right. I'm tired of taking off my shoes. I am too. I'm excited about it. I just don't know how safe it is, okay? I just don't know how safe it
Well,
is.
and Dr. Joni agrees with you. She says MAGA has made us less secure, not more so. And she says you're right that those decisions are made on a Trump whim.
Mhm. Yeah.
So there you have it. Mm. All right. Well, folks, our black fact of the day. This date in 1943, Faye Waddleton was born in St. Louis, Missouri. She would go on to become the youngest and first African American president and CEO of Planned Parenthood Federation of America. Her career in executive leadership for national and not for profit organizations, I should say,
Mhm.
spans over 30 years. So that's our one of our black facts for this date in 1943. Faye Waddleton.
I love that. And of course, we have an African American leading Planned Parenthood right now. Her name is Alexis McGill Johnson. And so she was a barrier breaker to allow Alexis to run. And Alexis has a lot on her plate right now, especially with I saw that the judge halted the removal of funding from Planned Parenthood, but we don't know what that means. And Planned Parenthood it's not just about abortions. We know that, which is what they try to make it seem, but it provides adequate health care for low income women across this country. And so, important
Mhm.
institution. It does have a questionable past when you dig deeper into it. But as of today, it does help many women across this country, and we should make sure we protect that agency.
Yeah, it's a shame how they've turned everything into all the good stuff into bad stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It is really a shame. Our black-owned newspaper of the day is the Dallas Post Tribune. The Dallas Post Tribune is a weekly newspaper serving the Dallas area for a half century. It had its beginning in Tyler, Texas. Isn't that where Jamie Foxx is from? Tyler, Texas.
I
Um,
didn't know that.
yeah, in 1947, Mr. Bert C. Muse founded the newspaper, and he was also the editor and publisher. And he established what was widely known throughout Texas as the Tyler Tribune. Today, the philosophy of the Dallas Post Tribune newspaper, which can be found on the editorial page, remains as follows. Quote, the black press believes that America can best lead the world away from racial and national antagonism when it accords to every man, regardless of race, color, or creed, his or her human legal rights. Hating no man, fearing no man, the black press strives to help everyone in the firm belief that all are hurt as long as any are held back. The Dallas Post Tribune. Check them out if you're in the Dallas, Tyler, Texas area, and check them out online as well. And check out
Mm,
all that they have to say locally and nationally.
nice, nice. We have a couple comments, Stacy. I think we should go back to.
Sure.
Big Cheese has a lot to say, but before we get to his comments, Dr. Joni says grateful for Black Press. These are names we just never hear in mainstream. So you're welcome, Dr. Joni. But Big Cheese has a lot to say. The Big Cheese. I predict Essence Magazine will not be around much longer. Oops. Um, Actually, Essence Magazine just did a fast channel deal with Heartbeat, which is owned by Kevin Hart.
Mhm.
And so they're planning to get into television and content creation beyond print and digital. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with Kevin Hart's Heartbeat.
Yeah.
And then he says over 20 million innocent Black children have been deleted because of Planned Parenthood. I said they had a sketchy past. Um,
Well, do we know? But we also have to fact check that, right? Because
yeah.
that's been one of the campaign
Oh,
talks
what's
as
up? Yeah.
well. So I'm not gonna just buy that on face value either. But
But we know that, that number is conflated by probably abortions and the the
mhm,
the the inception of Planned Parenthood when, it wasn't too kind and friendly to Black women. Um, so, I mean, I get the point
mhm,
of it. It hasn't
mhm.
always been kind to African American women. So,
Yeah. And speaking of the comments, we got a couple of minutes. So NABJ is trying to earn their black card back, says RNG. They did not invite Trump. To me, don't they usually invite uh presidents or candidates during the election anyway? I think at this point, if they'd invited him, he probably would have turned it down anyway. But I don't think it's any statement that they're not inviting him this year.
but you know what? I like it, Stacy, because it's like, even though they wouldn't invite him, let's just say we don't want him this time around. Just like
Mhm.
NAACP, they didn't invite him. I
So
think it
that was
sends
more
a
of a statement.
message.
That was a
Yeah.
real
But
statement right
I
there.
think it, I think, but I think it still sends a statement, even though, like to your point, they probably don't invite him anyway when they're in office. But just to say from last year and all of the complaints that were had about him being invited, for them to say he's not welcome, that means a lot. It says a lot.
Mhm.
I hope the Urban League comes out and says he's not invited. Every Black organization, when they have something, even if they've never invited the president, I would say he's not invited.
He's not
Okay.
invited.
He's not invited to the cookout. He's not invited to the convention. He's not invited to the summit. He's not invited to the conference. He's not invited to the sleepover. You're not invited. We don't
Yeah.
want you. Say it.
I also think it's a nice slap against what's his name? Ken
Hmm.
the
The one you
president
don't
from
like.
last year. Yeah. Because I mean that dude, you talk about that was just he failed everybody. So there you go.
Trixie is saying, what is it that the people need to do to get him out of office?
Well, again, when you think about it that way, it has to be Democrats and Republicans both, as y'all say, growing a set. And Al Green's impeachment motion must move forward, and not just in the House, but obviously the Senate has to go along with it. So it has to be both sides getting a backbone.
Right. And let's not leave out the power of the people. I think that Angie Nixon, Florida lawmaker, brought up, we have to be participant on local levels, like we were talking about what's happening in Arizona, what's happening across the country in all of these different states, your local elections, from school boards to commissioners to voting for your mayor to your city council members. In order to get him out, we have to change how our patterns of voting and civic participation. So, I'm thinking when the next protest comes up, I just need to be out there. We just need to start showing up and resisting the whole Trump clan administration from top to bottom. And I'm talking about from local to state to federal.
Well, there you have it. Thanks for joining us, folks. We really appreciate it and looking forward to seeing you again tomorrow.